Hi, third grade writers. At this point, you should have already watched the Prince Cinder's read aloud and jotted your own list of a big change that you noticed in that story and some smaller changes that happened because of that big change. So today your goal as writers is to plan the changes that you will make as you adapt a classic fairy tale. So when writers plan how a fairy tale adaptation will go, they first decide on one big change that will improve the story significantly, and then they make sure that the big change leads to other smaller changes so that the whole story fits together really nicely. So as I watched the Prince Cinder's read aloud, I thought about the big change in this story. And I thought that the biggest change was that Prince Cinder's is a boy instead of a girl, being Cinderella. And that big change impacted the whole story. It changed how the whole story went. So some smaller changes that happened because of this big change were that he had stepbrothers instead of stepsisters. He took a car to the disco instead of a pumpkin to the ball. He wore a suit instead of a ball gown. And he lost his trousers instead of losing a glass slipper. So today, your job is that you are going to watch another read aloud in just a moment of the classic story of the Three Billy Goats Gruff. As you watch, I want you to think about a big change that you can make to the story of the Three Billy Goats Gruff, to the classic story. And I want you to make a list, jotting down all of the big changes that you can think of that you could make to the story. You might change the type of animal, the setting, the problem in the story, the time period, but I want you to be really specific. So if you say that you're going to change the type of animal, what type of animal could they be instead? If you say that you're going to change the setting, where is the Three Billy Goats Gruff going to take place? So for example, if I'm going to change an animal and I want them to be unicorns, I would write unicorns here instead of just change the animal. Then you're going to pick one of your big changes that you really like, and you're going to think, what smaller changes would happen if I change that one big thing? And you're going to jot another list of all the possible smaller changes that might happen if you change that one big thing. Once you have your list, you're ready to do a quick write, a 20-minute quick write, fast and furiously, telling the story of the Three Billy Goats Gruff with your big change and also the smaller changes that you've identified on your list. Your list, by the way, should have had at least 4 bullets of smaller changes that you'll make in the story. It will be really fun, I think, to read a lot of these stories, so please share them on Google Classroom. The last thing that you'll do after you do your 20-minute quick write is that you're going to decide on the fairy tale project that you want to work on for the next few weeks. So you're going to think about the fairy tales that we read as a class on Tuesday and Wednesday. So those were Little Red Riding Hood, Cinderella, Jack and the Beanstalk, and the Three Little Pigs. And you will pick one of those classic fairy tales to adapt. You can write in your notebook or post on Google Classroom, send to me. The fairy tale I will adapt is, so I'll say Cinderella. A big change I will make to this story is, so what is the big change that you're going to make to the fairy tale that you're adapting? So I'll say is I am going to have the story take place in 2020 instead of the 1900s. And then because of this big change, what are the smaller changes that will happen? So in my story, because it's in 2020 instead of the 1900s, it's going to be, everyone's going to be social distancing. So Cinderella is going to go to a Zoom ball instead of a real ball. And I would have many, at least 4, probably more smaller changes that I would make because Cinderella is taking place in 2020. So that's all that you'll be doing today. I would love it if you would share what you work on both for this part and your 20-minute quick write so I can see how you're thinking about big changes and smaller changes. Have a good writing time. Talk to you soon. Bye.